What's up, everybody? Armchair quarterbacks for another Week 12 recap. On this one, we have the Chubb Memorial versus Waddle. That is Manny's team winning with a score of 129.14 points over Ken's team of 103.52 points. So let's take a look here at Manny's team. Dak Prescott, he's been on a tear. You know, ever since he came out of his bye week, he's only had one kind of down week, but besides that, if you look at his stat line here really quick, coming out of the bye week, week 8, 4 touchdowns. He's throwing, this is passing touchdowns. Week 8, 4 touchdowns. Week 9, 3. Week 10, 4. Week 11, this was the down week, 2 touchdowns. And then week 12, this week, 4 touchdowns. Dude's been on a tear. And Manny is very lucky to have Dak Prescott and the CeeDee Lamb stack here, because CeeDee Lamb has been a beneficiary of several of those targets and touchdowns. The only thing here, CeeDee Lamb, you just want to see more receptions. 8, 9, 10, he had 12, 11, 11 receptions, and then 11, 12. Weeks 11, 12, he had 6 and 4 receptions. So you really want to see more receptions for CeeDee Lamb, but I think defenses are starting to shadow him a little bit more, which is why you're seeing Dak Prescott spread the ball out a little bit more. Let's talk about Calvin Ridley. How did you feel about Calvin Ridley's game this week?
Pretty solid. I believe he had another big play that was dropped, for a touchdown. So a lot of these points came in the second half. But really solid. I mean, everyone's been kind of poking fun at him being really good when Zay Jones is there and then really bad when he's not. But if you actually look at the charting of the way he's been schemed down the middle versus outside, just his route selection and what they're having him do with Zay Jones there, obviously is a huge difference between being able to start him and not. So
yeah, agreed. All right, so here we got Joe Mixon, another player that you're pretty much sad that he's affected by the loss of Joe Burrow.
Just right now, put this to the Mixon Memorial, because I mean, at least Chubb for most of the season, you kind of knew that you're going to be without him.
Yeah.
I mean, I was able to get Ford before Manny did, but there's other options. Rashad White's been pretty good, but for Mixon, this is the true memorial right here.
Are you pretty much benching Mixon rest of the season?
I mean, you gotta take the chance on Keaton Mitchell, maybe. For sure, Javonte Williams. I may be playing Javonte Williams.
Yeah,
that was a decent trade that me and Manny did. He probably regrets trading away Tank Dell, but at this point, you do still need the running back, and Javonte Williams has been solid, and he looks healthy.
Yep,
huge thing coming back from that ACL, the devastating one too, because I think it was both MCL and ACL.
Yeah, it was a pretty bad injury, and he's looked pretty good this year. Like, I haven't seen very many games where he's looked back to like full health game script. But he also hasn't been utilized that much. It's Sean Payton. Sean Payton utilizes several running backs in his offensive scheme.
Utilizes two. And recently it's been Samaje Perine instead of Jaleel McLaughlin. So,
yeah. All right. So you spoke on Rashad White. Rashad White here gets 100 rushing yards. That's crazy. He broke the century mark there. And then he's still getting involved in the receiving game. It's just this game, we talked about it was a Mike Evans game in terms of the receptions, but Rashad White continues to see usage there. Love to see that. TJ Hawkinson, this dude is just beasting this year. Last year when the Lions traded him to the Vikings, it was weird because last year they started to use TJ Hawkinson a little bit more, but it wasn't working out. And I mean, obviously, whatever moves they made, trading TJ Hawkinson, picking up, drafting Sam Laporta, it's worked out for them. But TJ Hawkinson, this dude has been beasting for the Vikings. And especially once Joshua Dobbs came to the Vikings to be their quarterback, he's seen a pretty decent amount of targets here. I mean, this game he only saw 6 targets, but he got 5 receptions and a touchdown. So I mean, you can't ask for more from a tight end here. And then here we go. Here's another Houston receiver in Nico Collins scoring 20 points. Another receiver over 100 yards with a touchdown. You know, these Houston receivers, they're playing really great football, and that's definitely attributed to CJ Stroud. And we have a Kansas City wide receiver here, Justin Watson. I don't think it was the best play here. But seeing that this was, a game with Patrick Mahomes, pretty much any wide receiver with Patrick Mahomes has the chance to go off. But I don't think it's Justin Watson. I think the best wide receiver for them is Rashee Rice, who I dropped, and I believe, Shawn, you picked him up.
No, someone else did. I forgot who it was that picked him up. I thought Manny did originally, but
nope, it was Daniel. Daniel picked him up. But yeah, so either way, I think Justin Watson, this is the one random play here. I can see what Manny was doing here. He was going for that upside with the Kansas City offense. But yeah, I think I would have probably played Javonte Williams over him. I would have probably put in Deontay Johnson as well. And then Manny also picked up Pat Freiermuth. I talked about it in one of our videos. Freiermuth went off, first came back from his IR injury, and he was looking really good. He ended up scoring 9 receptions, 120 yards for a tight end. That's crazy. And Manny beat me to it, picking him up by like a minute or two. So anybody else here on Manny's team you want to speak on? You got any other words for them?
I think that's it, man.
All right, so let's move over to Ken's team over here. Tua Tagovailoa, he's been one of those quarterbacks that, you can start him, but you're hoping he's not going to throw any interceptions. He's not going to lose any fumbles. He pretty much has almost 1 interception per game. And that doesn't necessarily mean too much if he's throwing touchdowns, but he's also not throwing multiple touchdowns every single game. Tyreek Hill can only do so much. I think Tua's kind of hurt because the Miami game goes all to Tua, and then besides that, it goes to the running game.
Yep.
Okay, so Keenan Allen here, another older wide receiver who pretty much is showing, he's still got it. He's showing youth. 14 receptions, 106 yards. I mean, I think most of this was kind of force-fed here because Chargers don't really have any passing options. Are you worried at all that this continued usage might kind of wear him down at his age?
I mean, for me, the 2 big guys we think about when it comes to age is Keenan Allen and Mike Evans. Mm-hmm. And both of them have had past history issues with hamstring injuries. So the fact that, and Mike Evans even had a couple setbacks during the beginning of the season, and I was trying to buy low on him. And these guys continue this year to show, just how consistent they are. Keenan Allen being the slot receiver and Mike Evans being the target hog in the end zone. So as long as he's healthy, you're going to play him. He looks pretty solid.
Yep, I agree. Unfortunate, his schedule has not looked good coming out of their week 5 bye, but he's pretty much overcome the schedule. So even with a rough playoff schedule, you can still play him. Jalen Waddle, he saw some usage here, 8 receptions for 114 yards. It's great to see that he's getting the usage here with Tyreek Hill still playing. Then Josh Jacobs here, I talked about it before, Aiden O'Connell dumping off the ball to him several times. Here he got 4 receptions. That's something that you're going to want to see there. You'd love to see running backs who get involved in the passing game. And then he was also efficient, 20 rushing attempts for 110 yards plus a touchdown. Nothing to complain about there. He's got a week 13 bye, and then coming out of that bye, his schedule's not too horrible. James Conner. How do you feel about James Conner moving forward? He only had 6 rushing attempts and 27 yards and 4 receptions for 5 yards this week.
I mean, this one was pretty much a blowout, so good to see that he had the 4 receptions there, but it didn't really look good. They were playing from behind. At that point, you were trying to get your targets to, Marquise Brown and Trey McBride are probably the 2 biggest guys you had. I believe Michael Wilson was out. You didn't really see that much usage from Rondell Moore. So at this point, I'm not sure. We'll see.
They even utilized what's his name, DeMarcado, whatever his name is, and Michael Carter. They started utilizing both other running backs as well in this game, so kind of not promising to me for James Conner, but also I think he's still got the hold on the running back job. All right, so let's move over to Travis Kelce. Looking like he's doing some Travis Kelce things here. Unfortunately, it's not Travis Kelce of old with the high point totals, but 6 receptions for 91 yards. Tight end, you cannot complain there. And then we have Michael Pittman. This was one of those players that I was very, very quietly high on once Gardner Minshew took over. Even with Anthony Richardson, because Anthony Richardson was looking really good and he was getting high targets. But then once Gardner Minshew took over, we all know Gardner Minshew loves to air out the ball. He sees 10 targets here for 107 yards. So I think you can continue to utilize him moving forward. He's going to get the usage. How do you feel about the Baltimore running backs here? We've got Gus Edwards with 4.2 points.
I'm sure. They're trying to get Kean Mitchell open a lot more, trying to give him a lot more usage. He looks like the guy with more juice. So until otherwise, whether they go with a hot hand, I think Kean Mitchell is kind of the guy that they're riding on the momentum right now.
Yep, agreed. All right, so really quick, taking a look here at the bench. I talked about Brandon Cooks kind of going off here a little bit, seeing some usage. He had 4 receptions, 72 yards, and a touchdown. That was definitely a byproduct of Washington's defense kind of shadowing CeeDee Lamb a little bit more. So it's definitely benefiting Brandon Cooks there. And I think moving forward, you're going to be able to see Brandon Cooks get some decent usage here. How do you feel about Christian Watson for Ken's team here?
He's going to be hit or miss. He was lucky that Detroit kind of crapped the bed on this one, but I don't know if you could trust him really. I mean, good that he had this one game, but that's going to be a mix between him, Shaden Reed, and Romeo Doubs at this point.
Yep, I agree. All right, so besides those guys here, are there any other players you would like to talk about?
No, look good, man.
All right, so congrats on your win again, Manny, and better luck to you next week, Ken. But that'll be it for this Week 12 recap. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.